Hello guys and welcome to the channel. This is Paper Roll. In today's video I want to talk about mistakes that people make while trying to build a condition ranger. And they are very famous mistakes, that's why I want to address them. Basically making choices think they are the optimal way, but they are actually not. And to explain what I want to say by that, let me start by asking you a question. What do you think the most important thing to have in a roaming build in World vs. World? If you already know the answer to this, it's mobility. The way to move and break distance, whether in a fight or out, so to chase or to escape or kite. This is the most important thing you have in a roaming build. Because a roaming build will not fight fairly, and even if it fight fairly and people have movement, you will not be able to catch them. And if you're fighting unfairly, you need to survive and kite 2-player, 3-player or whatever. And the second thing that goes very hand to hand with it is stealth. Like thieves will say that stealth is very obviously broken in a way, but it gets all this power in a class like thief because they also have the mobility. While Willbender, for example, very good roaming class, even warriors, doesn't have stealth but have a lot of mobility. So why stealth is so strong? Why it goes hand to hand with movement? It offers you a whole new method and extra abilities in survivability and in applying damage. So if you are stealthed, you're still prone to damage. Anyone can still hit you, there is nothing will save you if you're right next to them. They can simply cleave you with melee attacks, they can use AoE skills, even projectiles straight to the direction if you are will land, because the combat in Guild Wars 2 is not just tap target, it's a hybrid of action in a way. If you are at range, a projectile that launched before your stealth will still track you, so something like rapid fire on longbow will actually track you in stealth if someone interrupted or changed direction. And melee, obviously you're already in a different area, so melee can't hit you, but AoEs can. So if you fight a multiplayer, they can spam necro marks, or ranger can catch you with entangle or anything, so you are still in the danger. Stealth is not a block or anything, it's simply people can see you, but they can still hit you. However, it offers you the chance to move. So you can move there, you can move here. People don't know where you are, they can simply direct their hits and make sure they are landing. So you can reposition yourself, you can kite, you can escape, and that is the extra survivability that offer you. You don't just use the movement skill, you use the movement skill while you're stealth. You heal yourself while you're stealth. And that takes us to the last point, which is people can't deliberately impair you from surviving. So you can cast your healing skill without being interrupted with a CC, or a condition cleanse that require casting or whatever, and no one can actually stop it. That's why stealth is insane, but it's only insane because we have basically mobility in the game. And the other side is it helps you apply damage better, or even at least pull cooldown from enemies and make them more vulnerable to you. So people can't see you, they can't really react to you, so they count on prediction or start to create their own distance. Hopefully you have to waste skills and cooldown in order to catch to them or to apply your own damage to them or whatever. So you can pull a block because someone can't really handle the next hit, or an extra dodge most of the time. And then you can pick the time when you need to hit the enemy. The enemy can't do anything about them. It gives you a way to dictate the fight in a way. And for most skills, it also masks your animation. So there is animations that can be shown through stealth, so people will see it coming. And even those are a bit stronger because people don't know where you are. So they have to see the animation while they weren't already tracking your character. And most skills will not show the animation through the stealth, so you can burst them through stealth completely, not just prep your own action or choose your own time. Now with that in mind, you always want stealth on your build, obviously. If your class can access it, it's always a good idea to have stealth on your build, unless the sacrifice is big. To have stealth access, whether it's a trait, it's a bit, or it's a weapon, or it's a utility, whatever the source for stealth, if you have it, then there is other choices you could have that now gone. So for example, if I use this pet to give me stealth, now I don't have turtle, or don't have the other pet. I don't have a pet with CC, this one doesn't have CC, stuff like that. So there is always a price to using a pet that can, to using any skill that can give you stealth. You could have used something else. So depending on the build, you will access it. But it's always great to have. At what amount? So should you chase stealth? Obviously not. Any amount of stealth can be very helpful for survivability or ambushing depending on your build. So you want some, not everything. Now, Ranger have multiple stealth sources, and we will be talking about it, what you should do with. So this bit is a bit new. It didn't used to give stealth to the player, but now it will give to itself and the player just like that. You can cast it even from CC. It's very good. You can access it whenever you want. It have a bit of a long cooldown normally, but it's great. Other sources of stealth is also any combo finisher of a leap or blast in smoke scale field, which is something everyone loves to use. If you cast any blast or leap in it, you can simply stealth. Celestial Shadows, which is exclusive to Druid, and also skill 5 on Spear for Ranger, and skill 3 on Longbow. This one. So the mistake I want to talk about that many people, when they build their Druid, and many other Rangers, some people will just stick to smoke scale coming from Power Ranger, or they just used to use it. They would use this skill and they would blast in staff with it or with Celestial Avatar to stealth and then ambush the enemy or trying to survive it. This is a really bad mistake. Smoke scale is a really bad choice if you run a build like this. So why? For Druid, the way you land your damage is mostly by controlling the enemy. It's not pure burst when you can use this skill and put insane amount of conditions the enemy, now they're trying to survive. It doesn't work this way. Most of your damage, and actually to land or land effectively, you need to make sure you catch the enemy first. It's a repetitive dance of immobilize and daze, a mimic of stun. So daze, like Accent Celestial Avatar will apply it, and now the enemy can dodge you, but they can't cast anything. Can move, can dodge, but they can't cast their skills. And if they are immobbed, they can't move, they can't dodge, however they can cast the skill. So those two are the exact opposite in how to work from each other, however with each other they work like a stun. The enemy can't do anything. So if you run a build like this, for example, Celestial Avatar with trait Eclipse, you need Natural Conversion to finish casting in order to apply the Black Hole and also keep applying the early damage. But you're stationary, you can't move while casting the skill. So the enemy can simply just walk a little bit back and nothing will land. Another thing, you have to be on top of the enemy to land a skill like the Signet. So if they simply move or they see you casting it so they dodge, you miss the whole thing. And also you need to flank them by landing higher damage from this. So you land the Immobilize only in flank, and you land the stun, which is much stronger than daze, only by flanking them. Even healing under them for Immobilize. So you need the enemy to keep being locked. Time after time after time. You land immob after immob, days after days. It just CC chains him to kill. It's an easy win. This is how the build function or how you want the fight to actually progress. So to do that, you need another tool to land the first one. So short bow is very great if you daze the enemy or immobilize them, even Celestial Avatar if you land this skill. But this is not enough. So we always have to use another way to catch the enemy, like landing Entangle or successfully landing any other source like this one. And most of the time we count on the bait CC, like the Ball of Iboga, so while I'm casting skill 5, I can ball the enemy right next to me to be inside this attack. It will ball them, trigger an immobilize, and now they're inside the black hole and they're eating the whole damage. If you go to Smoke Scale have no CC on him. Basically all his skills are kinda worthless on a condition druid, except this one because now you can stealth using it. So you lost a huge ability of catching the enemy to apply more damage. And if you removed something like the turtle, which most builds that count on longer fights cannot lose for survivability, you sacrifice that. In a way, instead of having 2 bits doing CC, you will now have only 1. That's not the worst of it. The huge problem is you cannot actually use a Smoke Scale on a build like that efficiently at all. So even having Smoke Scale will not offer you any value. Why? Remember when we started the video and said the most important thing is mobility? Then how do we move on Druid? It's staff. When we at staff, we either chasing someone or running from someone. There is no other method. 99% there is no other method. Or at least trying. Maybe you failed. Maybe you're stuck in a Dragon Maw or whatever and trying to use projectile field and heal yourself because you can't move because of CC, or you couldn't cleanse and mobilize it, whatever. However, you're trying. This is what you want to do. Whether you could or not. You want to either kite away from someone or chase someone. So in a normal scenario, let's say I'm fighting someone and they're using a boga or a turtle or whatever, and now another one engaged and I want to kite. So I will go to staff. Let's say I switch now to smoke scale or whatever. I need to start kiting with skill 3. Smoke scale can cast only his smoke field here or around an enemy. I can't put him in front of me to cast it and then I would follow this. So I have to be stuck in the same area, can't move away from my enemy in order to access this stealth. And now I have no other skill to move with. That's why it is just wrong. It's very, very nerfing to your build. So you can't use a staff. It's as simple as that. You can't use staff to stealth or you're literally sacrificing the fight. The only other method in a build like this to stealth is Celestia Avatar skill 3, which get me to another problem. If I have the smoke field and I cast this inside it and then I leave, what's the point? I was already going to get the stealth from Celestial Shadows. Now it's longer, that doesn't change anything. You can immediately start kiting, and if you time your skills right, you always have access to staff to actually start kiting. You just have to switch weapon. Besides, that could be a waste of skill. For example, inside Celestia Avatar, most of the time you want to combo skill 3 either with skill 2 or for extra healing. For example, for Healing Spring, most of the time I would just combo it with skill 2. So I cast skill 3 and then cast this under it, and now I have extra condition cleanse. Which what we explained when we said you use bit, you lose another. So comparing to having extra stealth, you always sacrifice other thing. And in this scenario, you sacrifice the extra cleanse or the extra healing, while you were already going to get stealth. So if you're inside the fight, you're casting natural conversion, skill 5 or whatever, and now you want to stealth and kite the enemy because you're about to be bursted or someone else joined or whatever, you simply leave Celestia Avatar and start moving. Again, there is no point in using the 2-step of casting this skill and then casting another skill. There is no need for smoke skill. That's beside also the fact that it can be unreliable, because what if your smoke scale gets CC'd or whatever? So sometimes it's even not as reliable as having Celestia Avatar, and you already have access to Celestia Avatar on even shorter cooldowns than this skill. Depending on how much you waste inside it, maximum it will be almost about the same time as the same skill. And this is enough stealth. Why? Because what you need to survive is the mobility, and we have an extra advantage which we can control the position of the enemy, not only ourselves. So right now, I cut like this. I go wherever I want to go, but I can leave immobilized behind me. I catch the enemy with this, or with the smoke scale, or CCs, or with Celestia Avatar, or CC them with whatever, or immobilize them behind me. And now they're even farther. So with mobility alone, I can do a lot. But I can also have this stealth. And this is just enough. Every time you need stealth, you go to Celestia Avatar and then leave. You don't need to sacrifice the CC of other bits or the defensive side, like using Turtle, and you don't need to waste other cooldowns like the Staff or Celestia Avatar for stealth. If you use Smoke Scale with Staff, you waste all your mobility just for stealth and it doesn't work. Now get me to another point, that's the survivability side. The other problem with using something like Smoke Scale is that stealth will not actually help you this much in a fight. So when you stealth and you open with an attack, the only things or few things that you can do is catching the enemy off guard with skills like Entangle, or making sure you flank them with a stun or Immobilize. So you can make those 2 skills at least very valuable now. Either that, or either land in a skill they didn't see it coming, like Entangle without seeing this animation, so they can dodge through it, and now they actually have it. It lands on them. Now this is not as valuable as you think. For a start, if you had a CC from bit, you can CC him from the bit and then use your own skill. So you can bowl enough cooldown to make sure you land what you wanted to land, like Entangle, like the short bow. The idea is we have, or at least we try to have too many, more than the enemy can handle. So if this missed, this will land. If this missed, this will land. Obviously, you play better than this. You try to look for the animation, ball cooldown, make sure the enemy dodge and now catch them and CC chain them. But you have enough to afford losing few skills. You don't need to sacrifice the bit and then just have an stealth to land this. And again, it's not really efficient, because in order to do that, you will waste your survivability like at the start of the fight and then start catching the enemy. Or at the middle of the fight, which now you can't move. You can't even chase them if they remove the Immobilize. It's really, really bad choice. So on a staff, short bow, kind of a druid condition, you should never run Smoke Scale, honestly. If you really want the stealth, if you used to it from playing Power Ranger, or if you want it, you better off running Jaguar, another bit that still have no CC, just like the smoke scale, but it will give you the stealth without the problem and the hassle of wasting the only real source of mobility, and even combo finishers like extra healing from using staff with the water field or with the spring or even the Celestia Avatar access. You can simply use it with whatever you want, and Jaguar will give you the stealth, no problem, no combo needed or anything. So you can simply be in the middle of a fight, and the moment you need to kite, you can switch the staff and use it like that, and when you land, you stealth immediately by switching bits at the end, so you can play normally and kite normally and still have access to stealth instead of running smoke scale. I, however, don't think I need this much stealth. I rather have my turtle and my Evoga, like we explained, for the damage and control and all that. So when can you use actually smoke scale with condition druid? Well, if you're not running staff, so you don't have to waste access for it for the cooldown. Some people would run sword warhorn on condition druid with composite with a short bow, so you still have the normal behavior with condition damage, the lockdown with a short bow and everything, and have sword for mobility with warhorn for extra boons, extra CC and stuff. So the sword will have combos of leap finisher, so you can have two. So one, you're trying to chase the enemy or trying to catch them with immobilize, and you can still immediately move to the other. It goes or flows naturally within the fight, because you can use them just to chase and the enemy and then move backward whenever you need. And they are two skills, so you can switch them and have the cooldown of easier. And with access to also still some Celestia Avatar, you can combo that with that. But the biggest thing is also having the Warhorn, because the Warhorn can simply give you the blast finisher completely naturally, just next to you, so you can have it in the middle of the fight and then start focusing on your damage, so you make sure you flank with the short bow or land in tangle from stealth, stuff like that. So it might be good, and even you have I guess more CC now comparing to the staff, even the staff had mobilized already, but it can be much better a chance. You don't waste all your survivability. If you stealth with the Warhorn most of the time, you still have the sword skills, stuff like that. And you can also run it with other condition rangers. So I don't use it on my soulbeast build. I will leave the build in the description. I made full guide and roaming video on it, and I don't use smoke scale. However, you can use smoke scale with soulbeast because it can go naturally with other scale combo, and you can even use something like that immediately inside it and then start landing your damage, and you have significantly higher burst. You don't count this much on the repetitive lockdown like druid, so every lockdown can be much more valuable. You have access to those skill, which this one can give you a dodge for decent time, so it's a bit of survivability, a way to catch up to the enemy. Even for hybrid builds, there is few things you can actually bowl with smoke scale, so I think it's pretty much acceptable, especially if you're running something like dagger or sword, so even more combo finishers, a way to play around your enemy. And the most important thing, you do not have stealth on soulbeast, so stealth become very valuable. Even you can waste some skills for it. It doesn't come to you naturally like druid if you play in a condition soulbeast. So if you're not trying smoke scale, if you're not trying any other tool, you will not stealth whatsoever. You only count on mobility, and people will always see you coming, will always see your skills, everything. So whenever you play soulbeast, whenever you play untamed and stuff like that, this might have a place on your build depending on what you're doing. But for condition druid, at least for staff druid, it doesn't. And I see a lot of people actually try to put smoke scale on the staff druid, put it inside the build, and it just doesn't work. It harms the build instead of help it. Now let's watch together an example of a very heavy kite that if I would run smoke scale there, I would be already dead. To waste my staff skill, to need the time for the combo, it wouldn't work. So I was surprised by the Holosmith. If I would stealth even here, he would probably reveal me. So I simply needed to create distance, immobilize him behind me, completely free myself, my position, and have a controlled enemy position like that. Fighting him here, trying to lucky him near me, and I find also many others coming, Dragon Hunter and whatever, getting caught with too much damage, more than expected. And now I switch to staff and simply move. With this position, my bit, I could not switch to it, or it's already dead, as you see in the turtle, because it will not be following you here, bit AI. So I stay above. They surround me from this side and this side, try to catch the other with immobilize until they finally starting to follow. And once they're down, I go to the other side and heal, and now I can completely heal freely and stealth with Sisti Avatar. No need for smoke skill or anything. Create insane distance. Like we said, mobility is the most important thing. And now I'm out of combat and can freely start kiting again. If I had smoke skill there, is either I couldn't switch to it, I didn't find the time for the combo, or it didn't follow me because it's a bit AI when you go over a ledge. And simply I didn't have the mobility because now I don't have the staff skills. That's beside which bit you will replace for. If it was a turtle, now you can survive completely, and if it was a boga, then you can turn back and burst anyone. It simply will maybe work for survivability only, but no other value whatsoever. And here, only with the stealth from Sisti Avatar, I change my direction and I go back to my waypoint, breaking a huge distance between me and them, and can go freely. So again, I do not need the stealth from the smoke skill. It will not offer anything to a druid more than the druid can already do. So that's it for the video. I hope you found it helpful. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Ask anything in the comments or tell me your own opinion. Feel free to have the discussion. I might make other videos on things that people do as mistakes like traits, skill choices. If you're interested, let me know in the comments. That's it, and I'll be seeing you next time. Peace.